All right, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping by for part 2 of the servo install on the Rlaarlo JK-07 Pro. Yeah, 7 scale, definitely not a Jeep Gladiator, brushless 2 to 4S RC. Anyway, if you watch the first part of the video, or part 1, I guess rather, I said I was going to install the Traxxas winch on the front bumper, which I've done that, and it was actually pretty easy. So I didn't film it because I honestly wasn't really sure how that was going to come out on video, but I will show you what I did. It was pretty easy. So I think that as far as scale goes, it is appropriate. It looks really nice in there. I did get my Warn sticker on there. That came with a sticker pack when I bought a Warn branded winch for a different RC. But all I simply did was use a knife and cut the sticker that Traxxas provides. Like there's a sticker that goes from here all the way down to here, has the Traxxas logo on it. So I cut it real sharp and smooth right there, peeled that off, and then put my Warn sticker because I didn't want to lose this portion of the sticker that was still on there. So we got ourselves a Warn winch. We can still reach our free spool button, or yeah, it's a button. And this comes with a very nice, it looks a lot like a Factor 5 style hook. It does fit on this shackle, which these are plastic, and that's kind of a bummer, but when they break and fail, I'll probably just go ahead and get some metal ones. You can see the red anodizing is already coming off the plastic from hitting some rocks. So this does have the Traxxas lead puller, which I have installed to where you don't see the Traxxas unless you flip it up. So that does look pretty good. And this bumper already came pre-cut, pre-molded with a fair lead, so I didn't bother using the Traxxas one. This is going to be just fine. All right, so the part you came to look at is Traxxas has designed these to work. It's got holes right here, and there's 2 up here that you can't see. Now, I didn't use these 2 up here because you don't actually need to. What they intend for you to do on their bumper is to use this thing right here, which sits into the rear groove like the rear tray of the bumper. And so I simply emulated that with this bumper. I shaved it thin enough to where it would sit inside this groove right here. And then for the Traxxas one, there's a hole with it's a screw hole right here that you would run their screw through, but there isn't one right here. So I just use a larger screw, and then what it does, because winches, they only pull, that way, they're never pushing. So all of the strength just needs to be there for pulling. So when you look at how this is set up, all the force is going that way, which means that this screw lip on this edge grabs onto this bumper lower half. So the force that's pulling that way is going like that. So it won't go anywhere, right? You can kind of see when I do this. Let's see if I can get you in. All right. Like that. You see it. That's the force that will be exerted on this winch. It's going that way. And then this beefy screw on this bracket against the edge of this bumper is what takes on that force. And so it's only attached with these 2 screws that I made it up with the holes, 2 of the 4 holes, the 2 rear holes on the winch itself. And the rest is pretty much it. It worked out really, really well. These grooves here, there are intended to be spaces to get tool access to these screws. All these screws do is wire management for your lights. So that's why they're still in there, because I was able to just manipulate the light wires without taking the screws all the way out. So, but coincidentally, the holes in the Traxxas winch are almost exactly in line with these grooves. So once I stuck it in there, set and put the screw in place, I just kind of blindly guessed / I've got a lot of experience doing this, so it worked out, and drilled a hole in each side and ran the screw in, and it worked the first time. And I think it turned out really clean. So that is how this is installed. The 2 holes up front here that are on the winch are not used. I did not feel like going through the trouble and destroying and putting another hole in this bumper just to find those. They don't even need to be used. In fact, Traxxas doesn't even recommend or require that you use them. The only reason that this winch even has 4 holes on the bottom is so you can put it on other applications, similar to what I'm doing. But I was able to, just as a twist of luck on how this bumper is designed, semi-use the method that they intend for their bumpers on this one. So I got it hooked up to this 3S battery I told you I was going to mount here. I just want to kind of give you a demo that it does work. We can pretend it's down there and the battery is mounted there, but I've already got it spooled in there. Nice. And so it's going to work really, really well. I like the red. So in this video, I'm going to get this all buttoned up. Set that aside. It's got my separate 3S battery here. I also sort of mock did it too. The one that I put on the ESC that I told you I was going to do off camera, that was a little bit harder than I anticipated because there's not a lot of room with the length of this lead here, but I was able to get it done and did test it. It's really secure. It's not going to go anywhere, and it looks pretty clean. So this is why I recommend these Spectrum IC5 connectors, or the 3s, whichever one you're using. So let me zoom you in right here. I think I already have you lined up. You'll see right here, I simply put the battery in here and used my pocket knife and scored lines on either side for the width that I need to have this strap. This is a Hobby Park strap. It actually came with 2 of them as freebies that came with some other crawler parts. So this actually is just laying around, so I don't throw anything away. And that's gonna work really nicely to strap this battery in. But looks like you can see it on camera. You got these score lines here. So I've already made the marks. I'm gonna use a drill and just drill holes along here. And then I thought about using a Dremel. I might just use a Dremel and it'll be faster, but the Dremel is a little bit louder and a little bit dirtier, but it's fine. I got a vacuum over here by the table. So I'm going to zoom you back out, and hopefully I can get that on camera as I'm doing it. But if not, I'll show you the aftermath, good or bad. Let me back out. I'm going to get my Dremel. I'm going to pause the video, and when I come back, it'll just be magically in front of us. All right, I'm back. We got a Dremel. You could do this a number of ways. You could probably melt it. That would be a good idea. You could take a pick or a coat hanger, heat it up with a lighter. If you don't want to, or you don't have a Dremel, in fact, it's actually not really a bad idea, but I've already got the Dremel in my hand. But you could melt it little bit by little bit to clean this out, and then just clean it up with a pocket knife or a file. I'm going to use a file. I got some little files, but if I don't take my hand off or ruin something, like if I were smart, I would undo these and move them out of the way. But I think I'm lazier than I am smart, so I'm going to leave them there and risk it. But I've used this thing a number of times to do this kind of thing. This bit here is something that will do like a plunge, like a drill bit, and then it will cut laterally as well. So I may speed this part of the video up because I don't think it's necessary for you guys to have to suffer through the noise. So here we go. All right, that took very little time and effort. That is super duper fast. It's way faster than using the heat things up and melt it method. A little wider than I need, but that'll give me the ability to have the strap a little bit more forward, a little bit further back, depending on where this battery actually ends up sitting. I'm probably also going to take some foam, like, this is the kind of foam that you put in your toolbox drawers. I'll probably take some of that and affix it right down here, just to give this a little bit of something to give it some friction. You look at all the marks in this. I use it in my vise just to hold stuff without marring up the surface, and also for tool drawers. So I'm gonna go get a file, clean this up a little bit, and then we'll get to doing the rest of it. All right, got me a little file. This is a little set. Comes with a bunch of different shaped versions of these. Got these from Walmart. So, if you're just dealing with plastic, you don't need anything too crazy. This doesn't even need to be pretty. It just needs to, I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. Take away some of these aggressive edges where I got a little bit loose with the Dremel. Yeah, I think it's good enough. It's good enough. All right. Some of this pad. And if y'all don't have a leathering or some kind of handy dandy pocket tool, you should get one. All right, so this doesn't have to be that big. Maybe like that. About that. Yep. Now, how am I going to attach it? Could use tape. Could use tape. I got 3M. So, get some alcohol action going. We got a little wipe. Yeah. Get the highest you can when you're trying to clean things off for adhesive purposes. Typical one is like 71% or 73. It's something like that, but 91 exists. If you're doing this and it's cold, heat it up with a lighter or a heat gun or something. Perfect. So what I have is a little extra weight in the front. It allows me to use a 4S battery for the truck, you know, because 4S is definitely necessary. And then to get this bumper put back on, stuck on in here like that. These are very tight, by the way. If you do this, I will run this antenna will be routed somewhere to where it can actually get some reception. And this will probably be routed over here, maybe next to the servo, or maybe over here to where it's going to be close to this and this. So it can go to either one, probably a lot like that. But the body has to be able to go up and down in this space right here. So if you do this, take that into consideration. Doesn't matter what weight you put in here, you're going to have wires you're going to have to manage to, you don't want the body to cut it. So I'm going to button this up, put the lights and stuff back in here, because you can see they're all just kind of like chilling out over here, but they got to go back in here and get the wire management right. So I'm going to do that off camera and we'll come on back. All right, we're just about done with this. I was going to record or begin re-recording once it was all installed to kind of just get this done and show you guys what it looks like and show it in operation. But along the way, I decided some things needed to be done, and I wanted you to know about it. First of all, just let me give you a good idea of what you're looking at here for the wire routing. So in order to get this bumper off, I had to undo all these screws. These are 1.5 millimeter, and there's a 2 millimeter under here, and then 1.5, 1.5. These are just the ones I was pointing out earlier that hold the wiring in place. That's all they're doing. So that's on both sides. These all go back in really easily, and not a whole lot to really show there. What I did want to point out is I've added some extra length frontwards and backwards as far as where you can mount this bumper on which one of these holes. Now that'll affect how close in you can put the bumper to the Jeep itself. So, you know, your approach angle is essentially what we're talking about. Now this screw, what it did is it made it to where I couldn't push the bumper in far enough to get to the hole that I wanted on here. I had to go with a much further out hole, like really the whole next one. So I wanted to point out what I did. I can move this out of the way. I'm just going to carefully pick this up and show you. I used one of these. Now this, I bought these as a set, probably from Harbor Freight, and various widths and depths. I use this a lot to countersink screws. Like if I do a custom hole in a chassis and I want the screw to be able to lay flat in the chassis, I'll use something like that. Usually the wider ones. This one's meant to be a little bit deeper. But I'll show you what I did. When I pressed the bumper into its place, it left a mark right there. So I just basically drilled that a pilot hole and then used that other bit there to bore this out so that that screw fits in there perfectly. And that allowed me to reach the next mounting hole in right here, which I can actually show you on camera since all this is mounted. I'll also point out this, for whatever reason, and I can't figure out why, Rlaarlo mounted these lights underneath. This was all routed underneath this bumper mount. I couldn't figure out why. I thought it was potentially a point that something could get smashed up under there, or you could just see it. So I don't know why they did it, but I put the body all the way down and locked it in place, and this still moves freely left and right through here. And it's got this nice semi-hard wraparound cover, so I don't think I'm going to be chafing these wires with the body. But I will keep an eye on that. That may be why they did it, but when I put the body down, put it in place, this still moves freely. It's not even touching it. So Anyway, we'll see that squeezing it in there as tight as it'll go. Roll it forward so you can see. Right in there, there is no gap. It's perfect. So I can take my bumper screws. There's just two. Now these two are longer. The ones that were in here were about half this length, and I found them easy to strip out, so I added my own. Those are just the 2 mil, and they work no problem. Now most of these RCs that I've done this to, the screws are on the bottom, but for whatever reason they put them on the top. And either by luck or I'm just that good, these go in no problem. Yeah, and those screws go all the way down to the bottom, and I can feel it with my fingernail. So I think that's the right length. In any case, this is on. We'll put these through here. I'm going to zip tie this up. Probably just follow the routing right here of what they did. Follow it back through here. Have this antenna probably just kind of up here, right there. I'll just tape that in place. And maybe run a zip tie right there. These are for rock lights. I might do rock lights later. I like the Traxxas rock lights as well. And I have a way to adapt those to non-Traxxas vehicles, which I'll almost certainly do a video. So you can see there's plenty of length here. I'm going to have this routed nice and tight down here to the frame. And now it's out here. And either of these can reach it here, or the battery that'll be right back here. So I'm going to zip tie this up off camera, come back and show you the finished product. All right, I got her all buttoned up. Everything's plugged in. Right now I have it plugged in the truck to a 4S battery in the Winch to that smaller 1300 milliamp 3S battery. I'm going to pop it over here in a minute and show it to you. I just wanted to give you a little demonstration. Show you kind of where the bumper sits the way I've done this. It is sitting, oh, too far. It is sitting pretty close. It could go a little bit closer. This is about where it was when I first got it. So if you're really, really, really concerned with trying to have this bumper be extra low profile to move it as far to the rear as possible, this is probably not going to be the route you want to take. You could also do a servo winch up here next to the steering servo. There's plenty of room there where I put the battery. But the servo winch would still leave an empty space up here behind this bumper. So maybe if you're going to do a different bumper, I guess that might make sense. But for me, because this thing already kind of comes with everything you want, light control wise, I'm just not going to do that. So let me pan the camera back. Yeah, so you can see. Yeah, get you in frame there. I think it looks good. If I can get my damn hands on it. It's pretty strong too. Like it'll pull the whole truck down. Let me get something to slide. You do like that. Give us a little makeshift pulley to lift the whole thing up. And that's with most of the rope wound up in it. Which, if you don't know anything about winches, the larger the spool, which means like when the spool is all wound up, the least torque it has. So this thing is pretty dang strong for being made for a tent scale. I think the size of it is pretty sweet. I don't think it would go on a SCX6, but on a 7th or an 8th scale, I've got a couple of these on my Cross RC 8th scale. I think that looks really good. And it will be functional. Yeah. Put some lights on. Make sure those still work since I unplugged them. All right. Oh yeah, that is looking real good. I love it when a plane comes together. All right, turn those back off. I'm gonna pop this thing open just to show you what the end product was. Grab a pokey to point with. The wires are run back here. There we go. Right here in the lower right corner, right down here, tied into the wiring harness. Well, zip tied. They laid nice and flat. The body does not rub them here. Goes all the way up here. Zip tied here. And then finally, the winch power terminates right here. So what you'll see is I have about 1.5 inches of extra here. There's a zip tie there. I could get more, but I zip tied it so I can unplug this. Say I'm on the trail and I brought 3S and 4S batteries, and maybe the 4S battery is dead, or maybe this one dies, some combination. I can pop this out, and then now that I'm not plugged in here, this has more than enough reach to plug in here. I'm not going to plug this in right now because that's a 4S battery. I have done it before, and the Traxxas winch has got some sort of a circuit in it. It knows, so it just doesn't react, doesn't do anything, and it doesn't actually hurt it either. So I guess they maybe thought of it. They thought people might accidentally try to plug it into too much power, but I tested it earlier if on a 3S battery. In fact, I'll go ahead and show you right now. I've had this battery for probably 5 years, 4 years. 9200 milliamp 3S Huvo. This fits in here. You can run this truck a long time. Matter of fact, might as well just show you. When you look at this bad boy, 9200 milliamp hour 3S. Look at that. It fits in there like they made it for it. This battery is it's not charged up. It has enough to demo the winch though. It's in storage charge. So you can see, got my winch, and I got my 3S battery. These are all hooked up at the same time. You can see decent amount of strain relief here. So all that would happen was just come unplugged if it took a hard hit, but crawlers typically don't take hard hits. So what's cool about these, being direct power, you can run the winch without the truck even being on. So truck's not even on. So say your whole battery died and you wanted to run your winch out. Number one, this thing has free spool. But number two, if it didn't have free spool, you could still operate your winch. So that's pretty neat. But anyway, that is how I do my winch that can only do 3S and a truck that can do up to 4S or even more, you know, whatever. But in this case, this works out really well. And I did the same exact thing for, well, I didn't do this. I didn't do the extra separate battery for my Cross RC ones because those only run up to 3S because those have the Hobbywing Fusion Pro 2300 system in them. So this method right here is all I needed to do. Now let me show you this. I did it off camera. I told you I was going to do it in a previous video. Shrink tubing for wires. Just cut it, put it on there, heated it up. It conforms to it nicely, and now you don't have that shiny aluminum polished nonsense underneath. That, and might as well point this out too while I'm thinking about it. This railing here, this little metal protectant piece, this is, I think it's metal. It's held in with screws, 1.5 millimeter screws, and then a nut on the other side. I discovered that while I was fooling with this, that this one right here had come out. I've already replaced it with some hardware I had laying around, but that one did come out. So if you get one of these RCs, just make sure you go through it and check those. Probably just as a good practice, check all of them and make sure that they're all tight. Maybe even throw a little bit of Loctite on there. I don't know. But that is going to do it for the winch install. I hope you guys got something out of it, and you'll come back for the next one. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do anything else to this. Probably try some different tires just for the hell of it, because I got a bunch of tires. Yeah, that's probably going to do it. If you like this video, do all the things that YouTube rewards me for. If you think you found some value in this content, or maybe you learned something, share it with a friend if they're looking for ideas. The point of this wasn't necessarily to show you how or what to buy or any of that. It just kind of give you ideas of how to overcome little things that happen in your build, or if you want to use a certain thing, if you want to simplify it. This I found is one of the best ways to do it. So check down in the description. I'll put a link for the soldering iron. I'll even put a link in there for the Traxxas winch. You can get them on eBay, Traxxas, of course, A-Main, Hobbytown, all the places that sell RC parts. So anyway, that's going to do it. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.